So many of our people now that use Cosmo Park don't even realize that they're in what used to be an airport, or that they're driving on the runways. That's the use that people recognize now is as a park. But before that, way back when, it was first an airfield and then an airport. We know that it was in use as a field, the Joneses Field, for flying as early as 1921. John and Tom Alton started their flying service here. They incorporated, I think, in 1926, and then bought this property, this 43 acres, from the Joneses, and made this the home place for their flying service. Directly behind me is the hangar that the city of Columbia built when they acquired it. This hangar was built probably in the 1930s, soon after they purchased this property. Early on in that period, one of the things that the federal government installed was a beacon, a light beacon. All of the navigation at that time was just by visual sighting. We're fortunate in that the old beacon, which was removed from this airport many years later, has since, about 5 years ago, been returned here. And many Columbians remember Ozark Airlines. I think they started in 1952 providing commercial service in and out of Columbia Airport, and they flew to several cities from here. After the entrance of the United States into World War II, then the need for pilot training really became much more imperative. And a few years later, Stevens College, as well as I believe the University of Missouri, entered into training programs out here at the old Columbia Municipal Airport. In this case, some of the first female pilots training program in the United States. They were called Flying Susies. It was the 1960s when this airport really outgrew itself, and we needed to provide a bigger airport to continue to support good growth here in Columbia.
The problem was Ozark was paying notice that they were going to jets and needed a longer runway, and Columbia just completed an extension to the existing runway. And anyone familiar with Cosmo Park knows there's quite a cliff on the north end, required a substantial fill. About 1962, FAA put out a report suggesting that there be a regional airport in central Missouri, that they would not be subsidizing two cities so close together. I brought along the airport report that was done actually in the early 60s, and they recommended the Elkhurst site. And of course, not unusual for Columbia. We had a tremendous debate within the council as to location, some wanting it along I-70 and some at Elkhurst. So it was quite a debate that went on for a little while. Elkhurst was approved. You really have to credit the farmers down here that had to give up parts of their farm, in some cases the entire farm. And it was very emotional, not only for this farm boy, but I tried to work very fairly with those people. Anyway, the air operations moved from Cosmo to this location.
And this is a gateway to our community. There are literally thousands and thousands of people that come to Columbia and mid-Missouri through this airport. With the space that we have, literally we've outgrown it. I mean, if you go to our parking lots now, they're overflowing. If you come into our concourse area, it's overflowing, and flights come in here and you're waiting in baggage and on and on. Well, I think for many people, it's sometimes hard for them to realize that Columbia, Missouri is the fourth largest city now in the state of Missouri. And it's growing by leaps and bounds on a regular basis, and that's exciting. But for those people like myself and others that have been around our community for a long time, we don't realize that that's taking place and how exciting that is. And when that takes place, you've got to have air service, and you have to have a facility like Columbia Regional Airport that can be able to support that type of growth and the type of expectations that we have for one of the largest communities in our state. It's critically important that you have air service and an airport that can be able to satisfy the needs that we have. And whether it has to do with our medical community, whether it's the University of Missouri, Stevens College, Columbia College, whether it's Columbia Public Schools or our business community or tourism. It's tremendously important to have a facility that can be able to accommodate the many people that want to come to Columbia and do business in our area.
COU means there sooner, home faster.